Sup fam, got my parts in for the Beamer. Just want to show you guys real quick. I'm headed to Harbor Freight to get a couple things that I need to do the installation. Got my Pro gasket, got these little gasket rings, I forget what they're for, I'll remember when I do it. Got my upper radiator hose, got my reservoir tank, got my oil filter. I have to go to Harbor Freight to get the engine support hoist tool thing. I must stop at my DD and get me some coffee because I am tired. I forgot to lock the front door. I'm kind of dreading doing this because it seems like a lot of work and it's hot out today. It's been nice and cool out all week, but today it's got to be hot, of course. I have to do something. Let's make sure the mic's on. I want to repeat. So I was gonna bring you guys along with me to Harbor Freight, but I don't think I'm ready for that commitment of holding a camera and vlog style in front of people. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay, so as you can see, just from sitting here overnight, that oil dripped out. Now it's been dripping out since I did the oil change the first time. There's probably not much oil left in there. Now, since we're changing the oil gasket, we obviously have to drain out the oil, whatever oil is left in it. So we're going to remove this. This is a 17mm bolt drain plug. So grab your 17mm socket. Alright, so we're just going to let that drain out. As you can see, it's pretty clean oil. That's because I just did that oil change not long ago. Fortunately, I didn't know that it was leaking as bad as it is. Alright, so while I'm under here, I decided to take off that splash guard. I also need to drain my radiator because I'm doing that reservoir replacement since it's cracked at the top. There's two drain plugs, one right here for the radiator and then one right here for the reservoir. I'm gonna go ahead and drain that real quick while the oil is still dripping. Now that we got the oil drained, we got the coolant drained, we start working on the top part of the engine. Change out the oil filter real quick. Now for the oil filter you need I think it's a 32mm, 36mm socket to get that filter cap off. I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the oil filter right now. There's an O-ring on the thread part of the housing for the oil filter. You're gonna take that off and replace it with your new one. Just like that. Pop that bad boy back on. I think the torque spec for this is like 24 pounds, 22 pounds or something like that, which is pretty much just hand tightening. So I like to go with the socket to where I'm barely touching it, stops. Right there. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, we're gonna take apart the air filter. Look at that, there's two 10mm bolts. Mine only has one because it looks like someone broke the first bracket off of it. So I only need to remove the one 10mm bolt. I'm also going to unplug the MAF sensor here. Go ahead and remove these. Now there's just two pins here that you pry out, either with a regular wrench or a needle nose. Pliers, I mean, regular pliers or a needle nose. I like to put everything back, the screws at least, so that way I know where the screws go. Now that we have that out, we got to work on taking off the fan. First we're going to unhook the electrical unit here. And then there's a T25 right here. And then there's supposed to be another pin right here, but it doesn't look like there's a pin here. It should then slide right out. Alright, so now you got to remove the boot, the air filter boot right here. Finally. Now I know you guys can't really see, but there's two T40s, one right here, one right here. They have to remove. Down there and down right there. Now I've seen some write-ups that it looks like you have to remove the dipstick. I'm not gonna do that because I think that's overkill. From what I can tell, it shouldn't get in the way at all. I might unbolt it though, so that way it does have some spray play on it. There's also a hose right here that is connected to the chassis that you can release with a screwdriver. You only want to detach these power steering lines. There's these two black clips right here. All you do is take a pliers and pinch the head right here, then pull these up at the same time. Alright, this one looks like it just came off. That one came off pretty easily. So that way, these are, there's no tension between these when the engine drops a little. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen those up. Actually, one of the hoses lead to the coolant reservoir, so I'm going to unclip that and take it off right now because I'm going to be replacing that coolant reservoir anyway. Take out the coolant reservoir anyway, that way that's done. The nice thing about these BMWs is that you got these nice quick release clips. I really don't know what recorded. The recording on my camera stopped recording for some reason. I think it has like a 20-minute countdown. I don't know if I can change that or not. I should probably Google that, which I'm probably going to do. So what I did was, you have to remove both belts here. There's a tension pulley right here that I used the T45 bit to loosen. You always go clockwise with to loosen it, and it comes off the bottom two left pulleys. I don't think the T45 bit actually was the right size. I would go with the T50, but the T45 did work for me. Now I think that's it for the bottom part of the car. I'm going to go back on top. I'm going to remove the rest of the belt. The top tension pulley is an 8mm Allen wrench. Like the last one, you're going to go clockwise. I'm going to remove the oil dipstick bolt. It's right down here. It's a 13mm bolt. I'm just going to loosen it so that way there's no tension. Okay, now for the last part, before we go back underneath the car, we got to remove the motor mounts bolts. They're 16mm bolts. I didn't have one of these, so I had to go buy it at Harbor Freight for $69.99. It's an engine support bar. What it's going to do is going to hold and support the motor from the top end while I drop the subframe to get to the oil pan. So I'm going to take this, open this up real quick. Alright, now we get the engine support bar on. We're going to lift it back up and we're going to start taking apart the subframe. Alright, so from what I can see, we have two bolts on each side to drop the subframe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my jack up and I'll get a piece of plywood and support this part until I'm done unbolting everything. I also might unbolt my steering rack here. That way there's nothing pressing against it. I think I also have to unbolt the lower control arms. That should support the subframe enough for me to loosen it all up. First we gotta drop the control arm. On each side there's two bolts, 16mm, one right there and one right there. You actually might have to remove the sway bar here too, or brace, whatever you want to call it, which doesn't look too difficult. So another 16 bolt right here. Now with those bolts removed, the control arm's gonna be free to move out of the way. Looks like I am gonna have to remove this. Okay, now we're removing the subframe bolts, which is two bolts. They're both 18mm sockets. There is access points through the lower control arm and over here. So it's pretty simple. I removed all the bolts. Now I'm gonna lower this and it should lower the subframe, which will give me access to remove the oil pan here. Just like that, we have access to the oil pan. Not too hard. I mean, it is a lot of work, but it's not taking it to a garage and getting charged $600 in labor kind of work. I mean, this is easily done by yourself, even with just jack stands. I know I have a lift, which makes things pretty easy for me. So now all we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these, and then we're gonna move all the bolts connecting the oil pan, which I believe are all 10mm. I think this might be one of my problems as well. There's supposed to be an O-ring on this sensor. There's no O-ring on it. So that could definitely be an issue. I don't know who would have done that. I really can't believe some of these people that work on cars, man. Alright, so now I understand why we have to remove the dipstick. As you can see, the dipstick goes right in there. That's the bottom end. Well, luckily I loosened it. That way it didn't have any tension. So now you just gotta pop that out and it pops right out. Okay, and with the last screw, dropped the oil pan. Now I ended up, to get the oil pan off, I ended up having to get rid of the power steering pump bolts, which was 3 bolts altogether, 13 millimeters, one in the front, one in the back, and one on the side. Now the oil pan dropped easily. We're gonna remove that real quick. Wow, I just did something incredibly stupid. I left my camera out here while I ran to AutoZone, and it's still here thankfully, but all right, I'm not sure what I've shown so far, but got the oil pan off. I dropped this thing right here and it broke, so I had to order a new one. That's gonna be about 4 days, so that blows. I'm still able to put everything back together. I'm not too sure why they had me remove everything that was up there, like the oil filter, or not the oil filter, the air intake boot and all that. I feel like that's unnecessary, but you did have to remove the oil, the dipstick for the oil. It was pretty simple. DIY for life. All right, so here's my oil pan. It's pretty clean, came right off. Now I got my Velcro gasket. It only goes on one way, so it's hard not to do it right. See, it's right here, it has 2 cutouts. Those notches right there. I'm gonna put 2 zip ties, one on each end. Now what this is gonna do, it's gonna allow me to put this on without having to fight to get the gasket on. It's gonna keep it right in place. Now insulation is pretty much everything, just reverse. I forgot to do an outro for this video, so here I am doing one real quick. I gotta remember doing outros. However, I finished the BMW. It took about a total of, I don't know, 8 hours, which is a pretty long time. I think they bill you for 14 or 15 hours. My garage is gonna bill me for 5, but that's because I have a dealer discount and other discounts supplied. But all in all, it wasn't that difficult. I recommend doing it rather than spending the sometimes upwards of $800 for the labor. Good investment in your wallet and good investment in your noggin. Moment of truth, I'm gonna pull the BMW back from its spot right now to see if there's any oil leaks or coolant leaks, and then I'm gonna put it back up on the lift, because today I went to UpFab in Cape Coral, dropped off my automatic differential. So it's a 3.46 gear ratio versus the 2.9 differential in the 5-speed transmissions. So they're welding it right now. They said they'd call me today or tomorrow, come pick it up. I'll have another video removing the differential in the E46 323i BMW, which doesn't look like a lot of fun, but everything's gonna be DIY. So let's go ahead and pull this bad boy up and see what we got. So it appears I got 2 little spots right here. Not too big of a deal. I'm gonna check, maybe something's loose. Maybe that's not oil, I don't know yet. I'm gonna put it on the lift and check, but all in all, it's been sitting for about a week. So that's awesome, because as you saw in the beginning of this video, that oil spot right there is from already pretty much completely drained oil pan gasket leak, and that was sitting for only a night. Looks like everything went well. I'm gonna put it on the lift, get ready for the differential swap. Now I'm gonna have the 3.46 gear ratio welded and a 2.9 open. So just in case I do decide to unsell the vehicle, the next owner has the option whether or not they wanted to weld it diff. Also, there's a couple drift days coming up that I'm going to be attending. There's 2 in November. I think I'll attend one of those in November, and there's 1 in December. One of the days are OSW Learners Days. My plan is to attend that, you know, learn what I can from everybody, and hopefully get better. And then next season, just kill it. If I get good enough, I'm gonna throw that cage in before 2019 season, so I can get ready in tandem. End goal here is to at least compete Pro-Am, and that's what I'm headed for. That's why I got the 350Z. I'm dumping money into that. The only thing that really needs is bass bars, roll cages, and I think I'll be set for that. Seats, obviously, harnesses, a couple other safety gear. Now I also got my beater, my drift missile that I can just beat the hell out of on the track and learn as much as I can on that, or even use it as a backup vehicle. Maybe I'll dump some cash in it, maybe I'll sell it to get a different vehicle, a different platform to work on that has cheaper parts, although Parts by Max is working on an angle kit for that, so that's pretty exciting, and I love Parts by Max, honestly. But that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe. Until next time, me and Manny Fresh here, we out.